Happy almost New Year, everybody. We're diving deep into New Year's resolutions today.
Resolutions.
Specifically your resolutions, those awesome plans you've got, to maybe save the planet or your wallet,
At least your sanity.
or at least your sanity in the new year. We've got a whole stack of research here
Yeah.
on why resolutions, why they flop,
And how to make them stick.
how to make them stick, yeah. Because let's face it, we've all been there, right? That initial burst of motivation
Fizzled out.
fizzles out, poof, gone. Faster than you can say February.
It's true. Yeah, that 80% failure rate by February gets thrown around a lot. But
It's a real thing.
what's interesting is that success isn't always, black and white.
Yeah. I saw one source that claimed only 8% of people actually achieve their resolutions.
Oh, wow.
But then others said it could be as high as 60%.
60%.
What's going on there?
It all boils down to how you define success, I guess.
I guess so.
Is it, hitting a bullseye on some huge goal?
Yeah.
Or is it about, making progress consistently? Plus, people's resolutions, well, they're not all created equal.
Right.
Our sources actually break down some of the common ways people fail
Okay.
into some pretty funny categories.
Okay, I'm all ears. Hit me with these categories. I bet I'll recognize myself in at least one.
Well, there's the overachiever trap. Okay.
Yeah.
35% of people fall into this one. They aim so high, they practically guarantee burnout.
Oh, yeah.
It's like trying to climb Mount Everest before you've even, mastered a hill.
Oh, I've so been there.
Yeah.
Like that time I decided to go full vegan overnight.
Oh, why?
Lasted about 3 days before I was dreaming of cheese pizza.
Oh, man. Then there's the wing it approach. 33% of people, this is them. No planning, no tracking, just pure vibes.
Okay.
Good for, I don't know, spontaneous road trip maybe.
Yeah.
Not so much for, a year-long goal.
So basically setting yourself up to get lost without a map.
Pretty much.
What's the last category?
The goldfish memory. A full 23% of people, this is them. They literally just forget their resolutions.
Really?
Yeah, out of sight, out of mind, I suppose.
Wow. I guess life just gets busy.
It does.
But even beyond, those funny labels, what's the real reason why most resolutions fail? Is it just like a willpower thing?
It's deeper than that.
Okay.
Our brains, they're wired for instant gratification. We live in a world of next-day delivery and on-demand everything,
No, that's true.
Resolutions, though, they often demand that we wait for that gratification.
Yeah.
And our brains, well, not always so good at that.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's like we expect this new year, new me transformation to happen overnight.
Exactly.
But like anything worthwhile, it takes time. Rome wasn't built in a day. Right?
Exactly. And that's kind of why, well, the traditional resolution mindset kind of sets us up to fail. We set, these vague, enormous goals, expect quick results.
Yeah.
Instead, we need to kind of hack our brain's reward system, shift our focus from goals to systems.
Systems? Okay. You're going to have to break that down for me.
Okay.
What does that mean in the context of resolutions?
Okay, think of it like this. Instead of obsessing over that end goal,
Yeah.
focus on, well, building the daily habits that get you there.
Okay.
Small, consistent actions, they're like compound interest. They add up over time.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
So instead of saying, I'm going zero waste this year, which sounds, pretty daunting, I might say, I'm ditching single-use coffee cups.
Exactly.
Starting there.
Yeah, psychologist Lynn Bufka, she suggests, setting smaller, attainable goals throughout the year rather than one massive one,
Yeah.
On January 1st.
Yeah.
It keeps the motivation fresh, prevents you from feeling overwhelmed.
Right. That's smart. But how do we make sure that those smaller goals are actually effective in getting us to, where we want to be?
One really powerful tool is the SMART framework.
Oh, right.
Each goal should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
Right. SMART goals. I've heard that acronym, but honestly, sometimes it feels a bit, corporate jargony. Can you bring it down to earth with an example?
Absolutely. Let's take Get Fit, a classic resolution.
Yeah,
Great intention, but way too vague.
for sure.
A SMART version might be run a 5K by June 1st.
Whoa. Yeah, you just totally changed the game. Suddenly it's not this hazy aspiration. It's concrete. I can see the finish line.
Right.
So we've got SMART goals for framing our intentions, but what are some practical tips to actually make those goals happen?
First off, Embrace the power of baby steps.
Baby steps.
Tiny, consistent actions add up to massive change over time.
Okay.
Instead of trying to overhaul your entire diet, maybe you start with just swapping, I don't know, one soda for water each day.
I like that. Small changes, but you're doing them every single day. It makes it a lot less daunting.
Exactly. And break those goals down into, bite-sized pieces.
Yeah.
It's like eating an elephant, right? You do it one bite at a time.
One bite at a time.
Though we don't actually endorse eating elephants.
Noted. No elephant consumption. So we're starting small, we're breaking things down. What about tracking progress? That's something you recommend?
Absolutely. Tracking is like having your own personal cheerleader, in your pocket.
Oh, I like that.
Keeps you accountable, lets you celebrate all those small victories along the way.
Oh, I love celebrating wins.
Yeah.
Whether it's a sticker chart or an app or whatever works, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It visually represents your progress and feels rewarding.
Yeah.
But don't forget about your support system.
Oh, right.
Friends, family, even online communities, sharing your goals, it can actually boost your likelihood of achieving them, like by as much as 65%.
Whoa, that's huge. So accountability buddies really do make a difference.
They absolutely do.
Yeah.
Having that external support, it can, provide motivation, that gentle nudge when you need it most.
Yeah.
But also remember to be flexible and forgiving with yourself.
Yeah.
Life happens and you will slip up.
So progress over perfection.
Exactly. Be kind to yourself, get back on track, and keep moving forward. And remember, forming new habits, well, it takes time and effort. Research suggests it takes about 66 days for a new behavior to become automatic.
66 days. That's interesting. Is there something specific about that time frame?
You know what's fascinating?
What?
This time frame isn't like just some random number.
Okay.
It's based on how our brains actually rewire themselves as we learn new behaviors.
Oh, wow.
During those 66 days, new neural pathways are forming. They're strengthening connections in our brain that make the new habit feel more natural and effortless over time.
Wow. So it's like our brains are literally changing as we form these new habits. So it's not just about like willpower, it's about the physical rewiring of our brains. That's pretty cool.
It is. And this brings us to a really exciting point.
Okay.
We can apply this entire resolution success formula, as we're calling it,
Okay.
to something even bigger.
What's that?
Sustainability and climate change.
Right. What I love about this whole conversation is how, personal goals like resolutions, they can actually tie into something so much larger and impactful.
It's about recognizing that even small, individual actions, when they're multiplied across a population, well, they can create a powerful ripple effect.
So true. And I've got a personal story that really highlights this point.
Okay.
Last year, I decided to commit to composting my kitchen scraps. It seemed like such a small thing at the time, but you know what?
Right.
Over the course of the year, I prevented over 300 pounds of waste from ending up in a landfill.
Wow.
And that success, well, it inspired me to make even more sustainable choices.
That's fantastic. And it highlights how even seemingly small actions, well, they can have a tangible impact. And it's not just, anecdotal evidence.
Right.
The research backs it up. Studies show that if just 10% of us stuck to sustainable resolutions in 2025, we could prevent, well, a staggering 150 million tons of CO2 emissions annually.
Wow, 150 million tons. That's the same as taking 32 million cars off the road for an entire year.
It is indeed. The potential for collective impact is enormous. And that brings us to an exciting challenge.
Ooh, I love a good challenge. Tell me more.
We're calling it the hashtag RenewPulse 2025 Challenge. And we're inviting you, our listener, to join us.
Okay, a challenge specifically for me. I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
The challenge is simple, really. Choose one sustainable habit and commit to it for 30 days.
Okay.
It could be, I don't know, like using a reusable water bottle,
Yeah.
ditching plastic bags,
Okay.
trying a plant-based meal each day.
I like that.
Anything that aligns with your sustainability goals, really.
I love how it's all about personalization. It's not like a one-size-fits-all approach, but it's about each person like choosing what resonates with them.
Exactly. And to make it even more fun, share your progress on social media. Use the hashtag RenewPulse2025.
Okay.
Let's turn this into a movement.
Yes. A collective wave of positive action sweeping the internet. I'm in. But for those of us who are, maybe new to this whole sustainability thing, any tips on picking a habit and actually setting ourselves up for success?
Remember the power of baby steps.
Right.
Don't try to change everything overnight. Choose a habit that feels manageable and honestly enjoyable.
Okay. Yeah. It's got to be something you can stick with. What else?
Get creative, Make it fun.
Yeah.
Maybe you turn it into a friendly competition with your friends or your family. Like, who
Ugh.
can go the longest without using a single-use plastic bag?
Oh, that's good.
And don't forget to, track your progress.
Right.
Visualizing your commitment it can make the journey more rewarding.
I'm a visual person, so I totally get that. Okay, so the challenge is set. One sustainable habit for 30 days. Make it fun, track our progress, and share it with the world using hashtag RenewPulse 2025. Got it. But what about, well, those of us who might be feeling a little, I don't know, overwhelmed
Yeah.
by the enormity of the climate crisis? How do we avoid feeling, I don't know, paralyzed by the scope of it all?
That's such a valid point.
Yeah.
The key is to remember that, you don't need to single-handedly solve the entire climate crisis.
Right.
Focus on what you can control. Those everyday actions that, well, when multiplied, can make a real difference.
So it's about shifting from feeling overwhelmed to feeling empowered.
Right.
It's recognizing that we're not just helpless bystanders. We actually have the agency to create change.
Exactly. And it's about celebrating those small wins along the way. Every time you choose, a reusable bag, opt for a plant-based meal, or walk instead of drive, well, you're casting a vote for a more sustainable future.
I love that analogy. We're literally voting with our choices every single day.
And those votes, well, they add up.
They do.
When we combine our individual actions with the efforts of, businesses and organizations, well, we create a powerful force for change.
It's a collective effort for sure. But sometimes it feels like, individual actions are just a drop in the bucket compared to the scale of the problem.
That's where it's helpful to zoom in on the ripple effect of individual actions.
Oh, okay.
Our sources, they tell this amazing story about, well, this woman who committed to reducing her plastic consumption.
Okay.
She started small.
Yeah.
Reusable water bottle, shopping bag, that sort of thing.
Right.
But soon, she started noticing all of the unnecessary plastic everywhere. And she just, she made these conscious choices to avoid it. She started a blog to share, her journey, her tips with others.
Wow. So she started with personal changes, but then it grew into something much bigger.
Right.
Even inspiring other people to reduce their plastic use. That's awesome.
It is. And get this, her efforts caught the attention of her local grocery store manager.
No.
Who was so impressed, he decided to implement plastic reducing initiatives in the store itself. They started offering discounts for customers bringing their own bags and worked with suppliers to reduce packaging.
That's incredible. Her individual actions literally led to systemic change. It shows the power of one person's commitment.
It really does. And speaking of systemic change, it's important to acknowledge the limitations of focusing solely on, individual responsibility.
Right.
We also need to advocate for policy changes and support businesses that prioritize sustainability.
Right, because even with our best efforts, we're still operating within a system that often makes unsustainable choices the easy or default option.
Exactly. So use your voice and your wallet to support companies and policies that align with your values. Vote for leaders who champion environmental protection. Make conscious consumer choices that support ethical and sustainable practices.
It's about recognizing that we're all part of a larger system, and we have a role to play in shaping that system towards a more sustainable future. But let's bring it back to resolutions for a second. How can we make sure that our resolutions, even those, small personal ones, contribute to that bigger picture of a more sustainable world?
A great starting point is asking yourself, how can I make my resolution a force for good? Instead of just focusing on personal gain, consider the impact on the planet.
Okay.
For instance, if your resolution is about, health and well-being, could you incorporate more plant-based meals into your diet?
Ooh, I like that. You're getting a double benefit.
Exactly.
Improving your health and reducing your environmental impact.
Precisely. Or if your resolution is to save money, try reducing your consumption and your waste.
Right.
You'll be saving money and resources.
It's about finding those win-win solutions that benefit both ourselves and the planet. I'm feeling super inspired right now, but let's be honest. Staying motivated throughout the entire year, it can be tough.
It can?
Any tips for keeping that momentum going, especially when it comes to sustainable resolutions?
One of the most effective strategies is tapping into the power of community.
Okay.
Surround yourself with, like-minded people.
Yep.
Whether through, online groups, local organizations, or even just a few friends who share your values.
It's like having a built-in cheering squad to keep you going when things get tough. What else?
Find ways to make sustainable living fun and enjoyable.
Okay.
It shouldn't feel like a chore or a sacrifice. Maybe you discover a fantastic farmer's market. You try, I don't know, a delicious new plant-based recipe. Or you organize a clothing swap with friends.
Oh, clothing swaps are so much fun. You get to refresh your wardrobe without buying new stuff.
Exactly. There are so many, creative and enjoyable ways to embrace a more sustainable lifestyle. When you find what brings you joy, staying motivated becomes much easier.
It's about making sustainability a part of your life, not like a separate, daunting task. But I gotta say, sometimes it's easy to get discouraged by, I don't know, like the state of the world.
No.
It feels like we're constantly bombarded with bad news about the environment. How do we stay, like, positive and hopeful in the face of all that?
It is crucial to stay hopeful. It's easy to get bogged down in, doom and gloom narratives.
Right.
But it's equally important to acknowledge and celebrate the progress that has been made.
Yeah.
Renewable energy is growing, companies are adopting more sustainable practices, and people all over the world are demanding action on climate change.
Yeah, there is a growing movement for change. Sometimes it's easy to forget that amidst all the negativity.
It's about choosing where you focus your attention.
Okay.
While acknowledging the challenges, also celebrate the wins. Those wins, however small, show us that change is possible and that our actions do make a difference.
This has been such a powerful and uplifting conversation.
It has.
We've explored like individual actions, the ripple effect they create, the importance of systemic change, and of course, taking care of ourselves along the way. But before we wrap up, there's one final piece of the puzzle we need to address. It's the part of the resolution journey that we often forget.
What's that?
Self-care.
Oh, yes.
It's easy to get, I don't know, so caught up in like making a difference,
Yeah.
that we forget to take care of ourselves along the way.
It's essential, especially when you're tackling, big, complex issues.
Right.
Like climate change.
Yeah.
It's so easy to burn out when you're constantly feeling like, the weight of the world on your shoulders.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that feeling of overwhelm. Like, I need to be doing all the things all the time.
Right.
But that's just not sustainable, is it?
It isn't. No.
Okay.
And that's where self-care comes in.
Mhm.
It's not just about, bubble baths and face masks.
Right.
It's about like replenishing your energy,
Yeah.
nurturing your mental and emotional well-being
Okay.
so you can show up as your best self in this work. Think of it as sustainability for you.
I like that. Sustainability for our minds and souls just as much as for the planet. What are some practical tips for incorporating self-care,
Yeah.
especially for those of us who are, passionate about sustainability and maybe prone to burning out?
It starts with, setting boundaries.
Yeah, okay.
Recognizing that you don't have to do it all. Give yourself permission to, to say no.
Yeah.
It's okay to decline invitations, step back from certain commitments, and really prioritize your own well-being.
Okay.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
That's such a permission slip we all need to hear. It's
Yeah.
easy to feel, I don't know, guilty about saying no.
Oh, yeah.
Like we're letting people down or not doing enough.
Right.
But honestly, if we run ourselves ragged, we're not going to be effective in the long run.
Exactly. And alongside boundaries, find activities that genuinely recharge you. Spending time in nature, connecting with loved ones, pursuing, creative hobbies, even just some quiet reflection. What fills your cup back up?
For me, it's definitely getting out into nature.
Yeah,
Even just a short walk in the park can do wonders for my mood and energy levels.
I hear that.
It's a reminder that there's, beauty and peace to be found amidst all the chaos.
Right.
And you know what? When I'm feeling recharged and grounded, I'm actually more motivated to take action and make a difference.
That's the beauty of self-care.
Yeah.
It's not selfish. It's an act of self-preservation.
Yeah.
That allows us to show up more fully in all areas of our lives,
Yeah.
including our sustainability efforts. And let's not forget the power of celebrating our wins, no matter how small.
Yes. We often get, I don't know, so focused on the next goal, the next challenge,
Right.
that we forget to pause and appreciate how far we've come.
It's like we're on this constant treadmill, always striving for more, but never taking the time to acknowledge, our accomplishments. Celebrating those wins, even the tiny ones, it can be, a powerful motivator.
Yeah.
It reminds us why we're doing this work in the first place.
It's like giving ourselves a pat on the back and saying, hey, good job, you're making a difference.
Exactly.
And speaking of making a difference, it's important to remember that even amidst, all the challenges,
Yeah,
there's been a lot of progress in the realm of sustainability.
absolutely. It's easy to get, caught up in the doom and gloom headlines.
For sure.
But it's essential to acknowledge how far we've come.
Yeah.
Renewable energy is on the rise. Companies are adopting more sustainable practices, and people all over the world are demanding action on climate change.
Yeah, there's a growing movement for change, and that's something to be genuinely hopeful about.
Mm.
Sometimes it's easy to lose sight of that amidst all the negativity.
It's a matter of perspective. While acknowledging the challenges,
Yeah,
also celebrate the wins. Those wins, both big and small, they demonstrate that change is possible,
right.
that our actions do have an impact, and that, well, that a more sustainable future is within reach.
This has been such an incredible deep dive into the world of New Year's resolutions and sustainability. We've covered a lot of ground. The psychology of goal setting, the power of habits, the ripple effect of individual actions, the importance of community and systemic change, and of course, taking care of ourselves along the way. So as we wrap up, what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with?
You have the power to make a difference.
Yes.
Whether it's through, small everyday choices or larger scale actions, your efforts matter. Don't underestimate the impact you can have.
So well said. And remember, you're not alone on this journey. There's a whole community of people out there who are passionate about creating a more sustainable future. Connect with them, support each other, celebrate those wins, and keep taking action. Even small steps taken consistently can lead to amazing transformation.
Exactly. Progress over perfection. Every step in the right direction, no matter how small, moves us closer to a healthier planet and a brighter future.
This has been the Deep Dive, reminding you that a more sustainable future is possible. What will you do to make a difference in 2025? Join the hashtag RenewPulse 2025 movement and let's make this the year everything changes.